Hello! From somewhere near or far, you're listening to It's All Relative. Talks about relationships, sex, and self connection. I'm your host and podcaster, Cinderella. And as always, stay present. Ever been in a coincidental, good vibe, going well, fiery and healthy? Can't wait to see them again, talk about them to perfect strangers or friends. Can talk for hours and share vulnerable moments. Daydream of what you will do next, and then, all of a sudden, shadows start to appear in your starry night. You start pulling back. It starts giving you some anxiety that this is how you feel about someone. When they tell you that they miss you, your heart races a little bit faster than usual. If you have been experiencing this, or you've been in a relationship with someone who has been experiencing this, well, this is the avoidance attachment type. And we will be talking more about it in details. So, why do we run away from love? Isn't love a good thing? Why can't we seem to enjoy love the way it is, no matter how long it will last or wherever it might take us? Why do we start thinking that, you know what, if it's meant to be, it won't be this hard? If it's meant to be, she will just walk in and all my pain will go away. If it's meant to be, then my demons won't exist and my pain will just disappear when they come in. Well, you know what? I hate to be the omen to your rainbows, but this is not how it works. This might come later, but first, there are a lot of things that you need to know. Well, psychology talks about how people avoid intimacy. Dr. Stephanie Stahl identified 3 types of intimacy avoiders. Those are the 3 main types. The first one, she named it the hunter or the huntress. Basically, they chase after their prey, and once they get it, they start creating a distance and emotionally avoid their existence. So the prey basically lose interest, feel hurt, or the hunter just loses the urge to hunt that person again. Did that ring any bell in your head? Because it definitely did with mine. I can name some people in my life that were definitely the hunters. Now, the second type is the prince or the princess. They usually find any fault to the person that they used to admire and used to want. They will definitely say something like, they pronounce it as supposedly. Yes, for Chandler Bings out there, or even Jerry Seinfeld's, they were that type, the prince. The third one are the stonewallers. The stonewallers will go ahead, have a connection, and then start having a wall. That wall will consist basically of how they regulate their emotions. They will start saying, you know what, I'm too busy. And they are too busy. They start overworking, or they even start having a hobby that is time consuming. So they will tell you something like, I need to focus on myself. I need to focus on my work. I don't have any time out for anything else. Yes, this is a stonewaller. So where does intimacy avoiders come from? Let me say that very clear. All avoidance of intimacy stems from unconscious fear of abandonment. Again, I'll say it. All avoidance of intimacy stems from an unconscious fear of abandonment. Think about it. Does anyone don't want to be loved? Does love come easy? Do we find a connection with anyone? Is love available like PCR these days? Well, the answer to all of these questions is a no. Then what the hell happens? So, reasons for why people have avoidance attachments or avoid intimacy. This is some of the reasons, not all of the reasons, of course, but the foundation is whoever feels it usually overwhelmed by the sense of danger that their heart might be broken again. That starts when, as a toddler, we fail to secure a bond with our caregivers. The primal trust is broken, basically. Yes, our bodies remember, our mind remembers, and usually this is the start of things that's happening. Sometimes the caregivers do not intend to do it this way with a bad intention. Usually they think that this is the best way to go forward. Also, the caregivers could have been dismissive when the child is being emotional, or they're being dismissive when the child show any emotions, reacts very hard when the child express how they feel. Basically, they can say something like, "You're a big girl now, you don't cry," or "Boys don't cry," or "I raised you better than this. I have so much expectations of you to cry right now," or to feel afraid while you're going to an exam. Be a man. All of this would result in someone who is afraid to be intimate again. Sometimes also when a caregiver is fragile, the child is afraid to show any emotion because they don't want their caregiver to feel bad. So they start not showing anything, and instead they keep everything inside. So children raised like this will usually deny how they feel, will deny their pain, will not ask for help, will not be themselves, will fail to be authentic, truly authentic and vulnerable, just to avoid any form of intimacy with anyone. Okay, the rest of the reasons are usually related to your adulthood. So, old heartbreaks, aren't they just pain in the butt? So basically, they broke your heart in the past and they're ruining your relationships in the present and in the future. Well, believe it or not, real love makes us feel vulnerable. Surprise! Yes, it makes us feel vulnerable, and it takes a lot of courage to wear your heart on your sleeve. It takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable, to be exposed, to be bare. And who wouldn't be scared of this? Even George in the jungle was scared of this when he met Jane. And he didn't have anyone else to love but monkeys and chimpanzees. Well, the other thing is with real love comes real pain. Meaning, the more the joy, the more the pain. So people usually start to numb themselves. However, they are not aware that when they numb themselves from pain, they numb themselves from joy, from love, from all the positive other emotions. They basically choose to be zombies. Or, as I call it, zombies by choice. They close that part in their brain and they would rather just move along. No feelings. Not good, not bad. The other interesting reason why avoiders of intimacy would avoid love or avoid any emotion when it comes to intimacy is that they say love is often unequal. So they tend to end a relationship because the other party likes them too much and they might not be on the same page. And they let them go, saying, "You deserve someone who would feel the same way." Well, believe it or not, love is never a fair scale. Both our feelings and theirs will be at different levels all our time, at any part of the relationship. You will never ever be at the same level of emotions and love, no matter where you are. You are 90 and you're married for 10,000 of years, you might like them more. You are 40 and this is the first time that they have met you and they might like you a little bit more. So it's never an easy game. However, when we try as much as possible to use our brain to solve an equation that has no brain in it and only emotions, we let the worry, we let the pain ride over our curiosity and interest in someone else. We lose any chance of a meaningful connection just because the scale is not equal. So, the last reason we're going to talk about before we talk about what to do about it, and honestly, it's the most personal one for me because I've been experiencing this all along. The most brutal reason is that love challenges our own old identities. So, that critical voice in your head, that critical voice that says, stupid, you should not have sent that risky text. Or, you know what, you're not worthy. Or your partner deserves someone actually better than you. That voice is a critical voice of your old self. Sometimes it comes from a painful childhood and critical attitude, either shown to you or in front of you by one of your parents or your caregivers. So, when we feel the warmth and safety, the critical voice in us are challenged because you're feeling good, you're feeling happy, and that cruelty in that voice is negated and not justified. So the voices get louder and get more assertive that you should not have done that, or you're better off, or they're better off without you. And all of these, or one of these reasons, can result in you not following your heart and do what makes you happy on the mere possibility of pain. Now, there are two things that I like to introduce, which is self-fulfilling prophecy and self-sabotage. Self-fulfilling prophecy is basically when we have all of these fears in our head, we start having the prophecies that we will get broken. Our heart will get broken, this relationship will end, and as always, this will happen. This is the self-fulfilling prophecy. So it can be positive or negative. And self-sabotage is our mind subconsciously and decides to act the same way we anticipated it will go. So if in the self-fulfilling prophecy, we said soon I will lose interest and that person will be boring to me, you will definitely, most surely, act this way in the future. You will start feeling indifferent and that person might seem boring to you because you actually thought it to existence. So yeah, and this, by the way, it's not just about this topic. Those two terms will be introduced throughout, and next we're gonna talk about, so what to do about all of this? I hear you ask me, are relationships doomed when one partner has intimacy and attachment avoidance? Well, couples can work together on the unconscious fear of attachment, and it all starts with knowing this. When we find someone we like their light and they like ours. We tend to forget shadows are invited too. We trigger them in most healthy relationships at the beginning. Those shadows are triggered. Now, what happens then? Usually, couples, instead of being companions on each other's journey to self-love and healing, they leave. Or worse, they try to fix one another. The thing is that when we do try to fix, we fix because we think that that person is ours and I need to fix them. Well, love is not possessive. Love is actually freedom. We allow that person to be whoever they want to be, and we become who we are. Both and each one of us come as we are. And we leave space. We allow space. We don't latch to one another. Now, for practical steps to take, this is for the avoider. We'll come to the partner next. The first thing is to be self-aware and take responsibilities. We take responsibilities to own our own patterns. We take responsibilities to talk about them with our partners. And we vocalize them. We don't just think them and think, oh my God, I should have never said that. I'll keep my thoughts to myself, not to ruin this. We keep on doing this and we are not aware that we're pushing that person away. Therapy can help as well to identify our own pattern and talk about them. We need to learn to distinguish between our emotion and our thought. An example: I'm excited that I'll see you. That's an emotion. I can't help but think how painful it will be when we break up. That's a thought. Sometimes we mix both of them together and we start getting anxiety about the pain that didn't happen yet, and that takes over our happy emotions at the time. The second practical step that we can do is that we take joy in the fact that we can override old pattern of fear and attachment. We watch the thought, but we don't let it override our brain. We do the act of love anyway. We do it while feeling that discomfort. Because that discomfort is basically fear telling us, no, don't do it, this will bring us pain. And so we don't follow our heart. We don't do the brave act of love that we want to do. We don't get to be happy just because fear is telling us so. Dr. Karl-Heinz actually said something that's very interesting. He said, get used to intimacy, meaning the avoider must expose themselves to intimacy with their partner at any given chance they can. So when they avoid it, basically they're running away from their pain. What Dr. Karl is saying that you actually need to get used to that discomfort that you're feeling. Learn to tolerate the discomfort and talk about it. Decide what safety feels like with your partner and decide that this is the way to go. The last point that I truly, truly love and found to be personally effective is that, yes, therapy will teach you how to deal with anxiety, but might not heal it completely. So what will? Being truly authentic will, knowing ourselves truly and foremostly, loving ourselves to the pieces that we deserve love. We don't have to change a bit to deserve love. We have to be exactly who we are, and will bring in healing. We need to understand that anxiety is some sort of a safeguard. Basically a safeguard of old pain coming ahead, ringing a bell and saying, be careful. We thank it and we watch it. We meditate. We watch our thoughts very clearly without it dictating who we are, without letting it take the lead in any way. We don't make decisions based on these thoughts or that anxiety. Instead, we honor it, we thank it, because it's there to save us from future pain if it might occur, but they are not the actual facts. They are just there to protect us. We need to understand our emotions don't define us. Our thoughts don't define us. We don't hold on to them. We feel them and we let them go. So basically, the other things that we need to learn is how to love ourselves, how to take care of ourselves. And when we want to have space, we need to claim it. When we want the safety, we need to claim it and define it with our partners. Now to the last part of the podcast, which is the partner. Basically, to the partner that is in a relationship with an avoider. The healthy partner to an avoider basically will be an independent, calm person. Someone who is capable of intimacy, does not operate from codependence, and able to give space. They realize they aren't there to fix the avoider. They realize they aren't there to save them either. Instead, they are their own companion. They don't chase, because the avoider will run faster. They allow space to let them be, and for their avoider partner to come in without feeling any unhealthy attachment. They know how to communicate when they think the avoider is feeling and why they think so. Basically, they provide an emotional mirror if they can. But the most important thing is they take care of themselves. They save themselves. And that's it. I hope this episode was of benefit to you. And actually, this episode was inspired one song in particular for Damien Rice. It's called Takes a Lot to Know a Man. I would suggest that you listen to it. I think it's all about relationships. It takes a lot to know that person, understand their demons, understand their shadows, understanding yours, and knowing that with any person, those shadows and those triggers will come afloat. It's what you do with them that counts. And as always, stay present. Bye.